Some fantasy anime of the recent past have been a joy to watch. Shows like ReZero, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Violet Evergarden, and Hunter x Hunter have never ceased to inspire imagination and curiosity. I always enjoyed watching Studio Ghibli films and shows like Slayers when I was younger. Though over the course of the recent decade, I don't think many have taken the world by storm like Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is a story that follows the life of an elf girl named Frieren. Frieren's life takes many turns over the course of a millennia. She goes from losing her village to defeating the Demon King and the hero's party, to ushering in a new era. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is a story of powerful emotions, centering on love, loss, Worldbuilding in Frieren Beyond Journey's End is vast and intricate. There are so many interesting facets that are shown but not delved into too deeply through the use of soft world building. These facets of the world are revealed through the technique of soft world building. One of the most fascinating features of the show Frieren is the world of science and magic that has been meshed together in a very interesting way. Magic in Frieren is based off of one's visual faculties. One's ability, one's technique is based off of their ability to imagine how they use their magic, how their magic is formed. The more detailed their vision is, their imagination is, the stronger, more precise their technique of magic is used. Magic is used by different races, and particularly the human race in Frieren Beyond Journey's End have delved into magic in a scientific way to advance their ability to use their magic in their war against the Demon King. And not only is the science and magic in Frieren interesting, but the flora and fauna are as well. There's a whole variety of unique and natural plants and wildlife that populate the world of Frieren, along with the various humanoid and non-humanoid races. These original details that populate the world of Frieren help the viewer to immerse themselves and become interested in the story, overall providing a breathtaking experience. When I first started watching Frieren, I noticed the time it took to get to the point of the episode, and this is the first episode I'm referring to. It stuck out to me because it was a contrast to other anime shows and the difference in pace and how it shows off its characters in the first episode and in a overly excited or bombastic way. And I really enjoyed it, and I stayed. I stayed for the pacing. I stayed for the uniqueness of its version of fantasy. And towards the end of the first episode, that's when I realized, wow, I want to stick around with this show. This seems like something that's going to be deeply impactful, something moving, something beautiful. And I was excited for it. And I would say for the most part, I wasn't disappointed. I can say I was disappointed because, well, I wish there were more seasons, obviously. And at this point, I'm not really disappointed about it, but I was expecting it to go down that route. But I expected the show to take a sort of magnifying glass to Frieren and her actions and words, and kind of show her an aspect of life that she hasn't really given much time or thought to. And it's kind of sort of what the show does. But for the most part, it's more focused on her life as a whole and the gradual incremental changes that helps her grow into a fuller person. There aren't many action sequences in the show comparatively to the moments where we're listening to the characters talk or watching montages of them travel or solve a problem or discuss the world of magic or whatever else that's lower in energy, and you're just there to observe and to enjoy. Or one thing that helped me maintain interest in the show was definitely the music, and hats off to Evan Call. He did an amazing job with composing the feel and the atmosphere of the world of Frieren and the story. Luckily, Frieren is more than just feels and visuals and world building. There are definitely plenty of themes to catch on to and characters to relate to. When I watched Frieren, I noticed that there was a difference between how most characters went about their life in comparison to the elves in the show or the long-lived races in general. Characters like Kraft and Frieren were patient. They were more wise in some aspects, and they had a peculiar outlook on life that seemed to be more, that seemed to help them enjoy life to its fullest. That was one thing that I felt was one of the themes of the show, and what the show wanted to communicate to the viewer. That in a grand adventure to defeat the Demon King, that there are moments in time in between battles, problems, or any other upbeat moment in the journey, that the adventurers have time to relax and look for treasure, or play in the field of flowers, or to look at the meteor shower in the village that they just saved. But the show doesn't neglect the other side of this temperament, and it shows that there are also times where urgency is needed, that not everyone is of the same mind as Frieren and those of the long-lived races. They don't have that much time to dawdle or to contemplate things for 10 plus years. There's a balance between patience and urgency that needs to be struck, and that's what Frieren and Fern's relationship was like, and what they tried to come to an understanding with, and they begin to over time. Another thing that the show likes to show, another thing that is shown to the viewer, is valuing the lives that you come across in your journey or in your lifetime. Another thing that is shown in Frieren is valuing the lives that you come across in your lifetime or in your journey. This is done through the moments that Fern and Frieren are making their way through continents and regions, and they come across different characters and different problems, and they meet people that Frieren hasn't seen in 30 plus years or some span of time like that. And there isn't any sadness or anything like that when Frieren and her group departs and they say their goodbyes. There's usually an openness to it, and that's something that Frieren had learned from Himo and in her adventures with the hero's party. And there are other minor themes that populate the story, and that's the dichotomy of courage and fear, and this is specifically delved into in the introduction of the character Stark and the reveal that he was the apprentice of Eisen, the dwarf, and In Stark's story, he was part of a warrior village, and there was a lot of expectations placed on him, and unfortunately for him, when he was younger, he wasn't the most promising child in contrast to his older brother. And Stark felt comfort from his older brother and his encouragement and his instruction, in contrast to the cold shoulder that he received from his father. And when that connection was lost or severed, when Stark's village was attacked by the Demon King's army, and Stark, being a child at the time, needed to flee the conflict, and he lost his village and his family. After that, he found Eisen, and Eisen took him under his tutelage and taught him how to be a warrior, and they grew close until one day they had their own fight. And Stark, going through all of that trauma and all of that, having all those memories and self-doubt and insecurities, he wasn't sure if he was strong enough to protect anyone, and he labeled himself as a coward in ignorance, understandably. And it wasn't until he met Frieren and Fern that he realized the true essence of a warrior through her stories of Eisen, and highlighting the fact that even though he was also scared and also was shaking in the face of danger, that he still showed courage and fought, and he won. And for Stark, that was the main internal conflict that he needed to overcome, was to move past that self-doubt, that inferiority complex, and to see that he is a great warrior, and that if his brother and hopefully his father were to see him grown up at that point, that they would be proud of what he has become. These are just a few themes that I wanted to briefly go over that I noticed in the anime, and hopefully in the future I will dive into these topics with a little bit more detail and elaboration. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content. I would also love to hear your thoughts about the subjects in the video, so please leave a comment down below.